be Tara R. from Augusta, Georgia.
I'm an addict called Tara. Wow. Whew. First of all, I've been sick all week, so this is not a microphone, I was informed, and so I hope that everybody can hear me. This is specifically for the taping, and I hope that my voice will last long enough for me to share what I need to share. So, wow, there's a lot of people here. Yes, I can follow directions. Just a little bit about myself. Got clean in Durham, Chapel Hill area. First of all, I need to come down a little bit. Whew. Shake it off. I don't know why it's so hard for me to come and have to do this when, yeah, we definitely got to be a little quiet because I am hoarse. So I go to meetings on a regular basis and I share, and then when you're asked to do something, it's like the young lady said earlier, I mean, my stomach is flipping. I feel like I'm about to throw up. I'm like, ah. So I'm glad to know you felt the same way. Anyway, becoming a woman in recovery, wow, it's been a wonderful journey, first of all. When I got here, I tried to get clean the first time I was like 19, 20. So I tried to get clean very young. Went through several treatment centers. This last time, I'm going to kind of skip the drug history. It doesn't really matter. Some of it will come out as I talk. I started using it at 12. I used till I got clean, bottom line. And I've used almost every kind of chemical you can use to the best of my ability. I am not one of those people who got clean the first time and stayed clean. However, I am one of those people who started getting clean at a very young age. It was either in treatment or incarcerated at least once a year up until I got clean. So I have lots of periods where I wasn't using, but was not able to put together the process as it's supposed to come until it was my time. Because I'm a believer too. I don't care what, you can talk to me, you can pray for me, you can love me, you can't buy me enough, you can't do it enough. My parents couldn't do it. Until I was ready, I was not able to, I wasn't able to hear it. You know, I wasn't able to sit still long enough to get it. You know, this last time, I got clean when I was 28, so that's the one thing that, I don't know if people are noticing the transition, but we're getting clean younger. We ain't having no choice. We ain't having no choice. I mean, the particular drug that brought me in here was not the particular drug that I started on, and as it progressed, the particular drug that brought me here I had used for 9 years straight. And again, unless I was incarcerated or in treatment, that was the only time I was able to put together time. This last time I went to a halfway house, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and the third halfway house, the same house the third time, you know, they graciously allowed me to come back over and over. And when I got there, you know, luckily I'd built a foundation here and there because I had been there 3 times already. And I remember a young lady asking me what was going to be different. And I told her I didn't know, you know, and I didn't know. Because I wasn't able to put together any clean time, I didn't know what the benefits were. You know, I got there and I knew that I was willing to do whatever it took. You know, I already knew about sponsorship. I knew about a home group. I knew all these things that y'all had told me to do. I just wasn't able to do them. And once I got back there and living in a house with 12 other women, so women are this is where I got it, let's put it that way. It started with women. It's been with women just about the entire time. And through my process, I've been able to get relationships with men as well. I have a dear friend who just waved me. He just pulled in the parking lot, coming from Durham, and one of my male best friends. And so I've been able to get that as well since I've been here. Anyway, back to the 12 women in this one house. Whew. Very difficult, lots of attitude. Tony remembers. Tony worked there. I still remember you chasing me around there. Y'all blocked me in, too. She come flying out the door and got me. As the other girl steered me this way and had my back to her, and Tony came up behind me. But anyway, y'all, I came back to this house, and I was willing to do whatever it took, okay? So I got there, got me a roommate. Whoo-wee. Good old Rebecca. That was where it really started, where I was able to start sharing bits of details here and there and seeing what you did with it. That was where it started, where I was able to share something with someone and they took it somewhere else without my permission. That was where I was able to share some pieces about myself that I had experienced in active addiction that were very devastating and were really hindering my mental and emotional and spiritual stability. I will touch some bases on using the particular drug that I used before I got clean. It ruined my life. It ruined my family. I am not, I told you I got clean very young. I am not one of those people who came in this door with anything. No bills were in my name. I did not have no cars. I didn't have my own place. I very rarely had working experience, because the particular drug I got on was at 20. And so until I got clean, that was it. My whole 20s were strictly using. And once I was introduced to this drug, it allowed me to leave my home, my parents' home. I left and did what I had to do, was introduced to the streets. And it's where I lived for the next 9 years. Coming in here, I had to address, for a long time I would hear women share things and, denial, or I painted a different picture, or the perception that I would make up in my mind that, so I don't know about y'all, but something can happen to me and I'll turn it into something else, I guess, so I can handle it for that moment. And I came in here and I had been in situations where, I had been raped. I had been sexually assaulted at gunpoint. I had been choked one night over $10, where I actually pissed on myself. I blacked out. That meant that my oxygen had been off long enough where I was going to die. And God had a different purpose for me. I woke up on the ground, dirt on the side of my face, piss on my pants, and nobody around to help me. And before the pee even dried on my pants, I was in another vehicle looking for another one. Pissy pants. And so that's kind of where it took me. The young lady was talking about earlier about the animalistic lifestyle. Absolutely. Sleeping places I didn't want to be, sleeping with people I didn't want to be with, performing, whatever, for whatever. I would like to tell you that I made a lot of money, but I did it. If I got $20, that was good. The fresh makeup, a shower, and some lipstick was a $20 day. The underwear sticking in the armpits where you smell yourself was some change day. In the end, I remember accepting, I think it was like $1.68 in change. $1.68 in change for oral sex. This ain't the kicker. How about try to cut with the $1.68? And dare somebody not to serve me for $1.68. So a little bit about that. So I get it when I hear people talk about, actually when I first got clean, a lot of women didn't talk about that. They didn't talk about, you know, the underwear sticking, the socks sticking, you're smelling your own armpit. Matter of fact, you might be smelling your private as well. I did. Being on my menstrual cycle with no tampons, because I'm not about to buy none. I will wrap some toilet paper, shove it down in there, and keep on moving. And Dad tricked to say something. So I get to this halfway house, and all these women are here, and I had all these experiences, and made it out alive, barely, but I did. Probably the color of, I don't know, I was grayish. I don't even see a color, but y'all see I'm very little anyway, and this is it. I mean, I don't gain. This is it. I looked very bad when I got clean. I mean, cheekbones, collarbone, rib cage, shoulder blades, the backbones, everything was showing, and my skin was so, I mean, I looked like a corpse. It was disgusting, you know. And I remember my mom and dad having to see me that last time, and wasn't good. Anyway, I'm at this halfway house with these 12 women, and all I know is that the seed had been planted year after year after year, whether it had been in the halfway house prior or into a regular treatment center in my own hometown or in jail, and you know, I was willing to do something different. You know, I didn't really know what that was, and I remember asking a lady to sponsor me, and this time I picked a lady that was, I don't want to say popular, but she didn't hang out with a whole lot of folks. She was married, very low-key, definitely didn't use like I use. I didn't have any similarities in that area. And I asked her to sponsor me, and she told me she would get back to me. And I was like, oh, okay. And the reason she did that, and she'll tell you now, you know, we still talk about it. Every time I come to North Carolina, I see her. And she was scared to sponsor me because I was a chronic relapser. And the bottom line was she didn't know she wanted to put the time and energy into me at that point, you know, because I would keep coming, but I would never stay. You know, and people have a right to do that because, you know, I think that I am only hurting myself, but that's not true. You know, you develop relationships with people and they start caring about you, they love you, and they put their time and energy into you, and you leave. I left, you know, and anyway, the woman took a chance and she started sponsoring me. And back then at that halfway house, there was no phone where it was free, like a house phone. It was a pay phone. And that was one of the first things that I started doing. And I said, I might just have a chance, because I remember using my own money and putting it in that machine and calling her. And a lot of time, I mean, 80% of the time I would not even get her. You know, there would be an answer machine. But that wasn't the point. I would leave my message. And sometimes she wouldn't call back, and that was cool too. Because the phone calls aren't for other people. That was for me. I needed to start creating my own pattern. She ain't responsible for me calling her. I'm responsible. You know, and I started remembering. Now, mind you, I was calling men too, though. I was calling other folks too. But I was calling her, you know, and I knew that was something different for me. And as time went on, you know, I left that halfway house. I did 6 months there, and then I went 6 months to an Oxford house, you know, and I don't know if everybody's familiar with that Oxford house, but first of all, y'all are fortunate, and I'd say North Carolina, because in my town there are no Oxford houses. When I moved there, there is no 8 to 9 in the county jail in Richmond County in Augusta, Georgia, or Columbia County, actually. So for the people who have that, it's, you know, it's great, because not every town has it, first of all. Anyway, so I went to this Oxford house, and I did another 6 months. And I'm one of those people who, I'm a believer in whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it treatment, if you want to call it a recovery house, whatever. I just knew that for me, a year kind of just tunnel vision, surrounded structure was something that I needed for myself, and again, coming in here at a young age and not having nothing, I had no clue. I got a job while I was at this halfway house, Subway. And I remember going up there and they hired me. And I had to tell the people where I lived, because you had to work day shift. I'm back at the halfway house now. And, excuse me. They hired me and they gave me a job, and I was working 10 to 5. And I would walk to work. And the Subway was at this end, because even I went back to Chapel Hill and got clean, so I also relapsed in Chapel Hill twice and stayed on the street there for a whole year. So it wasn't like I went, wherever I used at is where I stayed at. And that's where I, made my walking stroll. And I started working, and as time went on, I remember that the owners, they were like so in awe with me when I would tell them the stories, and they were just like, we have never met anybody like you. And I'm like, I'm sure you haven't. And they were my age too. That was kind of the cool thing. But I started working, and I remember, I didn't know how to talk to people when I first got here. I remember early on, the owner would have to pull me to the back and, Tara, you can't talk to people like that. Because I would get pissed if you start asking me for more banana peppers, and if I had to put all the vegetables on there and you want the damn mayonnaise on top, it would mess my gloves up, and I have to take my gloves off, restart. And I started asking people why they wanted more banana peppers on their sandwich. She was like, "Oh no, you can't do that." So, an outside person, outside of Narcotics Anonymous, has really started teaching me how to talk to people in a work environment. And luckily, I was able to listen to her, and I still did it a couple more times. But I worked for these people for 4 years, y'all. These people ended up giving me a key. When I first got clean, they came to my anniversaries. They cut me off at 3 was what it was. My owner would give me $100 for every year I've been clean. And that third year, he said, I got to cut you off. I was getting excited. I guess he got hit real quick, right? Anyway, they would come to my anniversaries. They gave me a key to the store. The husband, too, it was a couple, but the husband stopped coming to work. They gave me full reign at their store. And I was used to thinking to myself, I was like, wow, God, really? These people don't even really know me like that, because if I would take everything out the store. I would sell some bread and the banana peppers. The banana peppers are going. Somebody will buy them. Somebody will buy them. Wow. So anyway, I worked at that store for 4 years, and as time went on, I ended up actually through the process, I started changing. In those 4 years, I started changing. The type of us is becoming a woman. Okay, so early on, of course, I was participating in behavior I didn't have no business participating, sleeping around still, doing this, doing that, trying to make something feel better, and it did it. And I'm here to tell you, before I even go any further, the longer I've stayed here, the more that I know without a shadow of a doubt. I'm telling you right now, you can come here with what you want to, but this is a spiritual nature program. And the spiritual connection has to come at some point, and that is the beauty. That's where y'all can do for me all you want. You can be here for me, you can do this, you can do that. But I'm telling you, I go home at night. I'm in my own house, in my own room, none of y'all are around, and I have to deal with Tara. And nobody can do that but a God of understanding. So with that, man, I've had blessing after blessing. I call them miracles, actually. But I ended up getting an opportunity to work at the same facility that I had went through. And I knew right there that was truly, I truly knew God was on a mission for Tara. Just for me. This wasn't for nobody else. This was just for Tara. And I started working at this facility, and man, change after change after change after change. It just kept on and on. And I remember hitting about, I don't know, to each his own, but about my 7th year is when I was like, whoa, who are you? And I say that because sometimes when things aren't happening when I think they should be happening, or they're not happening quick enough, or I want to compare myself to other people, well, you know, why is she where she's at and I'm not, and this and that. I finally have gotten to a place where I don't have to question that anymore, because the God of my understanding is truly, again, this is Tara's path, you know. Thank you, Tony. And I can't stop that, even if I wanted to. The only way I could stop that was to pick up. And as time went on, and I started working at this facility, and prior to even getting this out of the facility, though, about a year and a half clean. Well, I'm sorry I'm jumping around, but about a year and a half clean, I got into a relationship with someone who was in recovery. At that time, I also started going to Durham Tech and taking classes at a community college. I've been going to meetings on a regular basis, pretty much almost daily. Like my first several years clean, probably up to about 4 at least. You know, I probably went to meetings either daily or at least 5 times a week. I didn't hang out really with a lot of people other than the man I was dating, who used. And I was surrounding myself by really a lot of women in recovery. And through that time, before I started like getting into the halfway house and stuff like that, working there, when I met this gentleman, first of all, I didn't know he got high. And this is one of the things, too. And that's why they tell us, man, give yourself a chance. They tell you over and over and over, and you don't hear it. I don't get it. What are you talking about? You know, give yourself a chance. So I get to this relationship with someone that I really don't know. And this particular person, unfortunately, hid his using very well for someone. I mean, I told you I used. So that's what I'm used to seeing. Full speed ahead. I'm not used to people who can still go to work, fucking eat. That joker used to smoke and come eat a damn plate. I'd have made mashed potatoes and gravy and shit. Who eats? Oh my God, eat the whole plate. Anyway, I'm not even going to go there with that one. The bottom line was I didn't get to know this gentleman to where I should have. And I ended up staying in a relationship. And I did. I stayed in the relationship. Actually, we're married now, and I'll get to that. But through that process, here's the thing, too. I have been taught that if y'all give me a suggestion and I don't follow it, I better be on my game in recovery, though. It's one thing to make a bad decision for myself, but it's another thing for me to make a bad decision myself and don't go to damn meetings and don't call a sponsor and get halfway honest to the best of my ability, because I'm not going to tell you everything when I'm screwing up, but I will tell you some. And what that is, you know, you think it's not nothing, but it really is, because what I'm doing is I'm getting to a place where I'm giving you information about me. Hope you don't judge me. Hope you, hold my information with confidence. And I hope that you are giving me some feedback that is not, it can't be judgmental. It just can't. I can't get with that. You can be firm with me. You can cuss me out. You can get real and you can tell me that I'm putting myself at risk. I can take all that. But I can't take you judging me, you know. And luckily I had been surrounded by women who did not do that. Not that I ever thought, anyway. And now what they said behind my back was one thing, and that's fine. But they didn't do it to my face, and that's what I needed. I needed to see somebody face to face and me tell them this information, because, God, man, I was making bad decisions. Whew. I was really putting myself at risk to use. That's the bottom line. I can sit here and try to flip it, flop it, and do what I want to with it, but I put myself at risk to get high. But because I had such a foundation, I had a group of women. Now, mind you, in this relationship, I'm still in this relationship. He's still doing his thing. I did go look for him twice, and that second time I went, I had a pocket full of his money and $20 to the side to pay somebody to tell me where he was. And I remember sitting out in the yard, and I'm like, what are you doing? You know, went in the house, turned it out, little friends. Everybody scattered. Oh, she got to go. Who in the hell is this? Oh, my God. Everybody flew out the house. Luckily, I didn't see people using, and I did leave, and I started going back down the road, and I started praying, and I just said, you know what? That's a wrap right there. You can forget about it. Because I started getting to a place, too, I was like, I will kill you, MF. I will kill you before I hit a damn stem. But guess what? I would say these things, but the bottom line was I was choosing to do it, you know. And as time went on, okay, I can get with myself. I can get with decisions. Why do I do what I do? Okay, well, same as everybody else. Low self-esteem, insecurity, fear. That's all I know. You know, you treat me fairly well. You know, you don't do X, Y, and Z, but you're doing A, B, and C. So, I mean, shuffling it, trying, you know, then confusion, and then putting feelings on top of that. Oh, my goodness. So, time went on. I guess, I don't know how long. I've been going about 6 years now. So, my 7th year, all this is happening prior. So, I'm in this new field of work. You know, I'm maintaining a job on a regular basis. I got my own apartment, my own name, my own bills. Everything. Everything was in my own name, except my car. My dad had to co-sign for my first vehicle. And after I paid that off, that was it. I have not had anybody have to co-sign for me anymore. You know, my parents have not had to, well, they have given me a little money here and there. But for the most part, man, y'all taught me how to be self-sufficient. And that was a big deal for me because, especially when it comes to the men area, I have found, in becoming a woman, I have found that I am very independent. I'm very goal-oriented. I am very driven. You know, I am very determined. These are not qualities that I had when I first got here. These are things that came from other women who taught me. I would view this first sponsor. She was a homeowner. She was married. She held a fucking job for 20 years. You know, who does that? She had all these qualities that, like, were way up here for me. Like, I couldn't even comprehend it. And I'm like, well, God, how, you know, does that even exist? Does that really exist? Like, I couldn't understand it. It wasn't even in my vocabulary. And so I started surrounding myself by women who had been clean longer than me, first of all. And yeah, I get it. I am here for the newcomer. But I'm going to tell you something. When it comes for me getting my information, that's not what I do. You know, I don't listen. I listen, but that is not where I go for my information. I don't go to people who are brand new. And the reason why, just because of all the shit I just told you prior. So, and I'm sure our stories aren't too different. So anyway, I kept this job. I started changing. I was doing these things. I'm in this relationship. He's doing his own thing. I'm surrounding myself by people in recovery. And, okay, thank you. Wow, that's good. 35 minutes go by quick. Wow, 5 minutes. Where do I go from here? Quickly. I do. I want y'all to know about, okay, so the man through all this, my husband, I ended up getting married. The man ended up getting clean. He's pushing 4 years. And it is a... But let me tell you where it took me, okay? So there's another thing. You stay here long enough, the spiritual principle that you hear everybody talk about, you will get to a place where if you don't implement being powerless, you forget about it, man. You forget about it. Because I'm telling you, when you have to go through enough pain where there's nothing you can do for anybody else, I don't care who it is, and you have to sit here and watch people do, whether it's family members, you know, for me it was my boyfriend at the time, and ended up being husband as well. He used then too. Made a decision to get clean, and I'm telling you, by that point, I was able to stay out the way. I do not interfere in his recovery. I might slide a little comment every now and then, but he don't do recovery like I do, and that's fine. Whatever works for him, works for him. How about y'all send my butt back to school? How about y'all send little old Tara back to school? And I say y'all because that's exactly where it came from. It came from the women in the fellowship, period. Y'all sent me back to school. I started in 2001 at Durham Tech. It took me 10 freaking years. I'm talking about 10 straight years, every semester. I started out there, and I started taking class. I had to take remedial 060 math 3 times because I couldn't pass it. I finally ended up passing, and I just graduated with the speaker from last night, Miss Sandra. She thinks I invited her to go to South Carolina with me because whatever, but it was really selfish because I was not about to go on that campus by myself. So it was pure selfishness. Bottom line was y'all sent me back to school, man, and we graduated in 2010 with our master's degree. I'm going to end with this. Just like, I don't know, half my sponsorship family's here. My sponsors are here. I got 3 sponsees here, and then their branches, because that's how it does. We had 3 carloads coming up here together, and she said it's time. So thank y'all for letting me share.
It's going to be Tara R. from Augusta, Georgia.
I'm an addict called Tara. Wow. Whew. First of all, I've been sick all week, so this is not a microphone, I was informed, and so I hope that everybody can hear me. This is specifically for the taping, and I hope that my voice will last long enough for me to share what I need to share. So, wow, there's a lot of people here. Yes, I can follow directions.